All right, the head basketball coach of the Mississippi State Bulldogs, Coach Chris Jans, joins us now. I would call this an off-season. I bet he would laugh at me. I don't think there's an off-season in college athletics anymore. Welcome in, Coach. How are you today?
I'm good, Ryan. Appreciate y'all having me. And I'd say there's good times and bad in terms of the workload, but not much of an off season. You're correct.
You have 8 nets in the shot behind you. That may not be all that are in your office. Do each of them have a separate significance? Like, do you know the significance of every single net that is hanging there?
I do personally. Nobody's ever asked me that. So kudos to you. I know what they all mean, and I'm not going to bore you with what they are, but they do have significance for me.
That's cool. All right.
Okay. Well, you said good and bad comes with this profession. Let's go back March 21st, 2019. What do you remember about that?
I think we won a game that day.
Is
that correct?
I think you lost to Auburn in the opening round of the NCAA tournament.
Oh, no, Lance.
The only reason I bring this up is,
Lance.
look, you've moved on, greener pastures. You're having a lot of success in Starkville. But I just want to ask you what you remember most about the ending of that game.
You're going to have a hard time getting me on here if we're going to talk about bad. Just FYI. I remember it vividly, unfortunately. We were down most of the game and made a ferocious comeback, and our guys put themselves in position to have a chance to survive and advance. And one of my guys had a 3-point shot that was fouled. He was fouled on, and to this day, if I could choose one kid on that team to be at the line to win a game in the NCAA tournament, it would have been him. I felt really good about who was at the line, and then it was one of those deals like I felt like I was the manager of a baseball pitcher, and he was throwing a no-hitter, and, they go to the video monitor for time and all that and this and that and the other, and it took forever. And I don't know what to say to him, so I could just ignore him the whole time. And unfortunately, we made 1 of 3, and then we got the rebound and had an out-of-bounds play and shot a corner 3, and our best player shot it and didn't make it. And we lost, and Auburn went on and went to the Final Four, and we had to watch from the sidelines.
Yeah, that's why we've always said I think that it's the most difficult sport to win a national championship in is college basketball, because you see a team like Auburn that comes down to it. They end up going to the Final Four. If it wasn't for maybe a non-travel call, they might have won a national championship. It's so competitive once you get to the tournament, so many upsets, and we've said it before. We think it's the most difficult national championship.
Well, it's a beautiful game. I mean, that's why, people love watching it, especially those 3 weeks in March, because there's games like we had with Auburn in 19. And like you said, they were a travel call away from winning it. And they're also a free throw away from not advancing out of the first round. So it's very crazy at times. And, that's why they play the games. But I think that's one of the reasons why, those 3 weeks in March, why even the casual fan is drawn to it, because of the finishes and the storylines. It just delivers, right? It delivers every single year.
We're big SEC fans, and we love all the communities. Starkville is one of my favorite. For those people that haven't been to Starkville, what have you fallen in love with about that community and that fan base there in Starkville, Mississippi?
It's all Bulldogs, man. They wear it on their chest. They love supporting the programs. It's a very prideful community. They've got a little chip on their shoulder. I don't think they'd mind me saying that. I think they feel disrespected at times. And, for me personally, I maybe have a little bit of a tiny chip on my shoulder as well. So I think we get along that way. But, I was born in the Midwest, so, the Southern hospitality is real here, and it's been welcoming, and, it's got a charming side to it, if you will. And, it's a great place to live. Obviously, it's a college, small town. I grew up, a town of 1,000 people with no street light, no stoplights, and no fast food. So, this feels like Dallas to what I experienced for my first 18 years. But it's been so far so good, and we love being here.
Coach Chris Jans is with us, head basketball coach for the Mississippi State Bulldogs. He's on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. But this conference is only getting more difficult. I mean, you take a job, then Texas and Oklahoma are about to come in. We talk about, is it, which sports are going to be the most difficult, adding those teams, and basketball's got to be one of them. That's two great programs, and it's already such a difficult conference. Just to add those two in, Coach, is just makes it even more incredible.
It's awesome. It's awesome. I love that we're doing it. I love the fact that Greg Sankey's our commissioner, and he's on our side, if you will. And he's obviously been a little bit ahead of the curve, I think, than a lot of folks in that space. And he's put our league in a wonderful position, or he's helped put our league in a wonderful position. And, that's where it's at right now. The Power 6, 5, and, now, arguably it's the Power 4. And, we're one of the leagues that's kind of leading the way. And it's just great competition. I think all the student athletes would agree, and I think most of the coaches would say the same. Is that's the goal, right? To be in a position to play against the best, compete against the best, and that's what we get to do in the SEC each and every night. That's my favorite part about being in this league, is that every game means so much, and there's so much riding on it, and the fan bases are awesome. Everyone has their own little niche, but they all are supported at a high level. And it's just a lot of fun to be at a place and be a part of a program that, gets to play on that platform and gets to compete against the very best, each and every night.
You mentioned the early days for you. You grew up in Fairbank, Iowa. You played at Loris. 133 threes made your senior year. Like, if you and Josh Hubbard got out there, who would win a game of horse?
Me.
I actually believe that. I guarantee you can still shoot it.
Yeah, as long as there's no, running involved, and no, just catch and shoot. Like step into it and catch and shoot. Nah, in all honesty, I probably wouldn't win today. Like 10 years ago, I would have. Like, I'd get in the gym and I'd shoot jumpers, before or after practice. I'm not saying I'd work out, but I'd put a couple up, and it's like riding a bike. And now, okay, I don't do that anymore. Like, I don't shoot the ball very often anymore in practice. I just don't. And so I can't. And the line's a little longer now. Like, when I do shoot, I'm like, that's a different shot than it was, back in the day. Yeah. But yeah, I joke with them that I'm the best shooter in the gym, but unfortunately, I don't think that's the case anymore. But I could probably get it back. I'd probably get down there and take me, a couple of days to get it back and shoot up a couple hundred, and it would probably come back to me. But
what's the most you had in a game?
I made 10 threes in one game. In college, and that was fun. I was 10 for 13 actually.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask, what's the most you've ever missed in the game? Because
I attempted 24 in one game. I only made 8. Ooh. So I was 8 for 24, but still 33%.
Yeah, you take that for one of your guys, right?
Yeah.
Would you take 8 for 24? Would you say something to him about taking that many shots?
Depends on who it is.
Yeah.
Josh Hubbard.
Yeah, he can shoot 50 of them. He can get them off. He's going to make his fair share. So you got to play the analytical game, right?
Yeah. Hey, where do we get the nickname the Dentist? I think it was it John Rothstein from CBS? But what was the true backstory? Because a dentist is a necessary guy out there, not necessarily somebody you want to see, though.
Well, unfortunately, when it comes to nicknames, you don't choose them. Most people that I know don't choose their nickname. And when it comes to John Rothstein deciding that he is going to give you a nickname, he doesn't consult with you. It just pops up, and I find out about it when y'all find out about it. So usually my response to that is, it could have been worse. Right? I could have been worse nickname, but I'm just rolling with it, and whatever. It's just part of the deal.
Yeah, and the way I understood it is going to play your defense is like going to the dentist. Is that a compliment? Do you like Nick Saban in his introductory news conference when I was there and he was at Alabama? He said, "We want to make people hate playing us. We want to punish them that much." Do you feel like other teams hate playing your defense?
I wouldn't go that far. I mean, I'm not going to speak for them. That'd be a question better served to ask, those coaches. I can't imagine that would be the case, or even if it was, if they would actually admit that, even though, again, I'm not saying that is the case. But we definitely, have some pride on that end of the floor. And it's kind of how I was raised back in the day, even though I could shoot it a little bit and score it in a very low level of college basketball, but how I was coached and how I was raised in basketball by my early mentors, coaches, that's where it started, was that end of the floor, and that could always travel. I know it's an old cliche that defense travels, but I believe in it. And then we added the rebounding part of it, and certainly trying to be one of the tougher teams that's out there. And but that's kind of, I guess, the backdrop of why he chose that is that no one likes to go to the dentist, and apparently our teams, in his opinion, aren't that fun to play against.
Yeah.
So you spent a lot of time in New Mexico, obviously with New Mexico State. You ever watch Breaking Bad?
I've watched it twice.
Oh,
No, me too.
wow.
Yeah, I watched it the first time, and then during COVID, my second to last year there, during our the 20 season, our governor was very strict when it came to COVID protocol. So our whole program had to go to Phoenix for 71 days in a row and try to create a bubble. And we had a massive COVID even there. And so we really were away from our families, didn't leave the resort unless it was for a game or a practice. And we practiced most days on site. But anyway, long story short, I had all this time on my hand. No one was around, just me in a hotel. So I rewatched it. So I watched it for the second time. And like anything, you pick up some things. And certainly when I watched it the first time, I wasn't at New Mexico, living in New Mexico. So watching it the second time when I was living in the state of New Mexico was just kind of a cooler perspective, and I could relate to, some of the areas and the mountains and all that stuff that was going on.
Yeah, really cool. Coach, we appreciate the time. It's been good to talk with you. Hope we can do it again soon.
All right, man. Appreciate y'all having me.